Hey guys, I watched Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And yeah, it was a movie. Wakanda Forever is the latest piece of content to be produced and manufactured by the company Disney. This is coming off the heels of the last Black Panther movie, Black Panther, which came out in 2019. Black Panther had the advantage of being a product of its time. It was basically on everyone's minds. It was released during a time where the United States were very divided and racial issues were at the forefront of political discourse. Meanwhile, you had Infinity War that was right around the corner, was gonna be released later that summer, which was being propped up as this big hype event, this big dramatic movie, which would end up becoming one of the top grossing movies of all time. And here comes this movie Black Panther, which is released just before, in the middle of this very political time in America, and it flooded the discourse, and by consequence it made tons of money. And I understand why Black Panther was an important movie for when it came out. It had black themes at the forefront. You look at Michael B. Jordan's character in that movie and his relationship with T'Challa. It's understandable that it's rare that a big blockbuster film in the year 2019 would attempt to do something like that, let alone have like an all-black cast, which, again, you scroll through the Wikipedia page of the top grossing movies of all time, and you're not going to find many movies, if any, with an all-black cast that doesn't have the word Black Panther attached to it. So the movie is very much a product of the time. The time was very important to the movie's success. Now, in terms of a movie itself, I don't think the movie is very good. The original Black Panther, that is. It's plagued with problems. At the time of its release, you already had movies like Iron Man, Doctor Strange, etc., and Black Panther just took that formula and copy-pasted it and set it in Wakanda. And those things that people were clamoring for with the Black Panther movie, such as the Michael B. Jordan subplot to it, that was what I liked about it, but people forget that it didn't take up that much of the movie. You had this very boring and bland third act where it was just punchy fighty and it looked like a PlayStation 2 video game. You had this boring subplot where Martin Freeman is, I can't remember, like in some kind of hologram's ship trying to shoot something, I can't remember, but Martin Freeman's character wasn't all that interesting. Michael B. Jordan had to share the villain's screen time with Andy Serkis, who played the Claw, which was a much less interesting character to me. And Wakanda is the main draw of this movie, and you don't spend that much time in Wakanda. And what time you do spend in Wakanda, it's either very boring scenery or very artificial sets. This is, after all, a celebration of Africa, but I can't help but think this was all filmed in a studio in Atlanta, Georgia. So those are my problems with the original Black Panther. I don't think it's a very good movie. I like it for what it represents, but other than that, if I'm just looking objectively at the movie, it's just your run-of-the-mill Marvel movie. I did a vow to myself that I will never watch a Marvel movie or Disney movie in the theater after Endgame. Endgame was the last time I watched a Marvel movie in the theater, or Disney rather. I just said, you know what, Disney is fun and all, but I don't need that in my fucking film diet. There are much more interesting movies out there that I want to experience. So this is the first time I'm going to the theater watching a Disney movie since Endgame. I fucking sold my soul to the devil. But on the one hand, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie because I didn't get to experience the original Black Panther in the theaters. And I feel like if there is a movie you should experience in the theaters, it's one of cultural relevance like Black Panther. I skipped out on watching the first Black Panther in theaters because, to be frank, I watched the first Wonder Woman in theaters, and that was another movie that was being touted as this very important political event, and I just didn't see it. And I didn't like the movie. I think Wonder Woman is a train wreck of a movie. And I still had that kind of sour feeling in my mouth. And when Black Panther was going to be released, I still had those thoughts, it's just that fucking political shit. And when Disney does political stuff, I don't see it as any different from when Nike does a gay flag or when Taco Bell has a gay menu during Pride Month or whatever the fuck is going on. I'm a bit of a cynic when it comes to that. But I feel like some time has passed where I'm willing to experience what Black Panther is meant to be with a crowded theater. So what happens when a Black Panther movie doesn't come out in a very cultural, important time? Yes, racism is still in our political discourse, but it's not at the forefront. I would say that issues like Ukraine and inflation are much more at the forefront than racial issues when compared to the time period when Black Panther originally came out. I feel like the main thing that made me prefer this movie over the original Black Panther is everything I kind of disliked about the original Black Panther was either increased or decreased for the better. Martin Freeman is still in this movie, and I can't understand why. I do understand why, as a matter of fact. It's because Disney is still in their fucking prehistoric brain thinking, well, you gotta have a white character doing some nice things so that the white audience members can connect to it. That's like the fucking cynical producer side that's going on. And he's barely in the movie. He's with Julia Louis-Dreyfus for some reason, who I guess is a character now. Again, I haven't watched anything Marvel since, Endgame. I saw Doctor Strange, but she wasn't in that. But yeah, so that kind of came out of left field to me. But their involvement in the movie was very minor and unnecessary, and quite frankly, could have been cut out completely. But granted, Martin Freeman's character takes up a lot less time. You get so much more Wakanda in this, and what you don't get in Wakanda, you get in the Atlantis kind of place, which I thought was also interesting. Speaking of which, I thought the villain was very interesting in this movie as well. At the end of the day, he just wants the same thing for his people as the Wakandans want for them. So it's two people with similar thoughts and similar goals, but they just can't see eye to eye. I thought that was a very interesting thing. And I also thought that it's a colony of Aztec people that were forced to move underwater. And they have this very cool scene, well, not cool, but this really devastating scene where Namor goes back to the shore in a flashback and sees that his people are being enslaved. And when I saw that moment, I was taken back to the original X-Men that had the balls to show a scene in a concentration camp. It's something that you don't see many superhero movies do now, is have that gravitas and have it take place in the real world with real human atrocities. I thought that was really interesting. Director Ryan Coogler doesn't shy away from having very artistic moments. Scenes where characters are just sitting in silence, contemplating, mourning. Moments like that helped me connect with the characters. It wasn't just punchy, punchy, crash, crash, punchy, punchy. It really had a purpose to it. When it comes to the villain, yes, I found myself kind of missing Michael B. Jordan, but I thought this villain was just as good, and he was given a lot more time to shine when compared to Michael B. Jordan in that original movie, where I feel like, yes, he was good, and I really liked his motivation, but they should have developed it a lot more. That said, is this a good movie? I mean, it's what it is. It's a Disney product at the end of the day. It's a Marvel Disney product. It's a piece of content meant to be delivered. And if that's what you're going into the movie for, good. To me, Disney movies are like the Olive Garden. Sometimes I'll be in my apartment, I find myself craving the Olive Garden, I want breadsticks, I want salad, and I want chicken gnocchi soup. Is it the best? Will I go and say that Olive Garden is good? No, not really. It's pretty bad, and will leave you with a mild case of diarrhea at the very least. So, it's definitely better than the original Black Panther. It's not the best Marvel movie. I think there are much better movies, Iron Man 3, and of course the Fox Marvel movies I think are all pretty much a step above. So like X-Men Days of Future Past and Logan and Deadpool 2 and X2, I think all those are better movies. I feel like they have a lot more integrity. The problem I have is that I know Ryan Coogler knows what he's doing. I just think that Disney and the company doesn't know what they're doing. Those moments where we're lingering on the characters and watching them mourn, those are some Ryan Coogler moments. I can feel it. I've seen enough Ryan Coogler movies to tell that that's what he does. But then you gotta throw in Martin Freeman, and it's just like, why? You gotta throw in Riri Williams, which I think is a boring character, and I don't like derivative characters. I don't like characters that are like, look, it's Hulk, but a woman. Look, it's Iron Man, but a black woman. Look, it's Hawkeye, but a woman. That to me is not a character. That's a gender swap. And you're basically restarting your character development. Just because you took Hawkeye and made them a woman doesn't mean that I have the same attachment to the female Hawkeye as I do to the original Hawkeye, because I was given more time and more development with the original Hawkeye. So I didn't really think Riri Williams was all that interesting, and I thought she was very unnecessary to the movie. They could have just cut her out completely, cut Martin Freeman out completely. Those are some very boring things that happen in the movie. There's a moment in the movie where Okoye is, I don't know what they call their little army, but she gets deranked from the army, and they kind of do it for comedic purpose, and they kind of make it a jokey thing. I feel like it's something a little more serious than that. The actress Angela, I keep wanting to say Angela Houston, Angela Bassett, she basically is so emotional that she fires the leading one on a whim. And they play it up for jokes at a certain moment in the movie. They have her like acting like a normal person, and yeah, I feel like they should have went more serious with that. The acting is really good. I'll give the movie that. Angela Bassett is really good in this. The girl who plays Shuri, I think she's a great actress. And who plays M'Baku? Winston Duke. I think Winston Duke crushes it. I think Marvel is very actor oriented. They really want the audience to fall in love with the cast. I just don't think it's all that director friendly. The CG in here is still pretty bad. I will say it's a step up over the original Black Panther, which again leads me to feeling that Wakanda Forever is a better movie than the original Black Panther. But that said, there's still those scenes. I remember there's one shot that's burnt into my mind where there's 4 soldiers in the M'Baku's clan. There's 4 soldiers, and they're sitting like ducks in a row, and there's a green screen right behind them, and it looks like the fakest green screen, and their blocking just looks so unnatural. It looks like 4 people standing in front of a green screen. And then the ending battle where Riri Williams shows up in an Iron Man costume, the CG on Riri Williams' Iron Man costume looks significantly worse than it did in 2008 when Robert Downey Jr. wore it. And then, I hate this in Marvel movies, they have to make everyone Iron Man. Gwyneth Paltrow's Iron Man. Rhodes became Iron Man. Who else? Spider-Man became Iron Man. Now they have I just remembered the term, they have the Dora Milaje. They're dressed as Iron Men now, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of these very badass women who will defend their country by all means necessary. All of a sudden now, oh yeah, they're just Iron Men. It really undermines it, in my opinion. That, again, to me, feels more like a Marvel and Disney decision rather than a Ryan Coogler decision. The things I like about this Black Panther movie are the same things I like about the original Black Panther movie. Cool culture, you get more of it. Cool villain, not as interesting as Michael B. Jordan, perhaps, but you do get more screen time of it. Cool environments, you get more of this compared to the original. Boring Martin Freeman, you get less of it. More in Black Panther 1 compared to Black Panther 2. And CG, significantly better in this movie compared to the original Black Panther. And for those reasons, I feel like I'm probably never going to rewatch this movie. But I'm never going to watch the original Black Panther movie again. But I will find myself more likely to rewatch this movie. Now, for those of you at home who are like, oh, Paul, you're just a Marvel, Disney hater, or whatever, maybe I am. You know? I do find myself liking Iron Man 3 a lot. That's the one I keep revisiting. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies, just because I'm a James Gunn fanboy. Other than that, it's not really my cup of tea, to be honest. So, yeah. That's how I feel about it. And, yeah, 5 out of 10. I'm sorry if you guys like this movie. I thought it was decent. It was decent. Alright? Fuck off.